Since the dawn of mankind, scholars, mathematicians, and mainly parents have been wondering what is better, to rent a house or to own it. Some claim that renting a house does not make any sense.
You're basically throwing your money away, financing somebody else's property.
Other people will say,
Why should you even own a house? Why are you getting into this long-term commitment with hard liquidation costs?
and all of the worries that you have when you own a house and the fridge breaks. While at first glance this question might seem trivial to you, the actual answer is a bit more complicated. From many discussions I had over the years, I found that most people don't really know how to solve it properly. This is a more complicated equation than throwing your money away or not dealing with liquidation costs. You need to account for many variables, but it's not rocket science, and you can do it. In this series of videos, we're going to cover all of the aspects that you need to know in order to solve the equation for you. Howdy everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Orio Cannon. I'm a computer engineer, a licensed realtor in Austin, Texas, and I can mathematically prove that Seinfeld is far superior to Friends. I'm on a mission to spread real estate and financial education through a series of videos that are a bit lengthy, but that's the only way I can do deep dives into these complicated matters. Similar to sporting events, discussions about housing can turn into kind of a debate between two groups with predefined notions. Instead of relying on data points and understanding the situation, people just say that one thing is better than the other, and that is not the case. Even though they teach in real estate courses that everybody should own a property, I don't agree with this determination. I think that it really depends on the situation and on the math. So in order to deal with the big question of whether we want to rent or to own real estate, we should start with a financial comparison and then move into personal preferences and then achieve a conclusion. And this video is going to focus on the financial aspect. So as I had mentioned earlier, there's this common saying that everybody say that renting a house is throwing your money away, and this is factually incorrect. When you rent a house, you are paying for a housing solution. It's very similar to buy a meal at a restaurant or buy any other type of commodity. You pay someone in order to live in their house and not deal with taking a mortgage. You don't need to deal with any liquidation cost. You don't need to deal with any other surprise expenses. You are paying for solutions. So you're not throwing anything away, you're just paying for something that you get in return. The other thing that happens because you did that, you don't put a large down payment into something, meaning that you can take this and invest it somewhere. So in order to keep your money in your pocket or invest it, you are paying for a housing solution, and it makes sense. On the other hand, taking a loan and acquiring a real estate can be one of the best ways to grow your net worth. I own more than 10 properties myself, so I'm obviously biased towards that. This method is especially true when we're talking about markets that are growing rapidly. Consider this, when you put 100K down in order to buy a 400K property, and this property is worth after several years 600 grand, the entire difference is yours. You don't share it with anybody. That is one of the big benefits of leveraging your money. You only put a portion, but you get something larger that can appreciate very strongly. When Elon Musk tweets, hey, I'm going to do this and that, Tesla can jump by 2x. But when a city is growing rapidly, the values cannot grow as quickly. There is a supply chain that needs to happen. You need to do appraisals and closing and whatnot. So the market is being delayed behind the actual worth. But put all of that aside. The other thing about real estate in the US is that you have a bunch of tax benefits. Your property taxes are tax deductible. Your interest payments are tax deductible. When you combine it with a very strong product of a fixed 30 years mortgage, meaning that it is not volatile, you get something that some people really appreciate for the stability and the growth potential. As you can see, there are benefits to either approach. So instead of just guesstimating what is better for you or trusting your gut feeling or your mother, let's engineer this thing. Let's look at this from a very mathematical approach and understand what is the best solution for you. The things that we need to know in order to solve this equation are the following three items. We need to know the initial terms, we need to know the assumptions, and we need to know the math. So initial terms, what do I mean by that? Initial terms means two things. One, how much money do we have saved up? What is the capital that we can deploy into an investment or into a property or into whatever the case may be? We need to know about this capital. The other element that is critical is what is our income versus what are our expenses. We need to understand this, and we need to do it without accounting to any housing solution. So don't factor in mortgage, don't factor in rent. Don't. Get the income, get all this money that you spend on cars and restaurants and bills and whatnot, and don't account for anything that is about housing. Now you have a monthly payment that you can utilize for housing. The second thing we need to discuss are our assumptions regarding what's going to happen with our capital if we invest it versus what's going to happen to our capital if we buy real estate. Now, this is a tricky thing, and people are doing it wrong all the freaking time. People are saying, hey, I don't know how to assume this. I'm getting into this analysis paralysis. I'm not sure what to do. So I'm just going to zero it out. But you need to understand something. When you zero it out, meaning you are assuming that real estate will not grow and your money will not grow in the investment portfolio, you are also assuming something. You are assuming zero growth. And if it's really far away from the truth, then it's going to affect your decision in a certain way. So I'm not telling you what to assume because I don't know what is the market that you are planning to buy real estate in. And I don't know whether you are going to invest your money at all or keep it on your savings account. And if you invest your money, I don't know if you're going into this a very risky situation like Bitcoin or index funds or whatever. What I do say is that you must account for these assumptions in order to make an informed decision. And if you're not sure how to do it, speak to a professional, speak to somebody that you value their opinion and can help you with it. Now, speaking of assumptions, what are the things that we can do with a capital? One thing we can do with a capital is just keeping it in the bank. Keep it in the savings account. I don't necessarily advise that. I know that right now in YouTube, everybody is speaking about the market is crashing and everything is on fire and everybody are going to die. But I don't think that's necessarily the case. But hey, you do you. Decide whatever you want to do, but just account for that. The other thing you can do is you can invest it, maybe in index funds, maybe in stocks, maybe in Bitcoin, maybe in monkeys, NFTs. Hey, I don't know. You do you. Of course, the last thing is to put your capital into real estate. For the sake of this video, or basically for the sake of this comparison, we're going to compare real estate and investing it, and putting it in the bank is kind of investing it in, I don't know, just putting it in a savings account and think that it will beat the inflation or whatever the case may be. The third phase is the math, but this video is getting too lengthy. So we'll have to save the math for the next video in the series, and I'm going to deep dive into the math and explain exactly how to evaluate the rent versus how to evaluate the purchase. And then I'm going to go into the tablet and show you spreadsheets and colors and paintings and all those type of things, and try to explain how to do it properly. If you like this type of content, please leave us a thumbs up. If you have questions about anything I mentioned, if you have examples that you want me to cover in the next video, please drop us a comment. Please consider to subscribe to the channel so you can get all the updates, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram and all those type of things, and I'll see you on the next one. And let me know in the comments if I should do longer videos or shorter videos, because I'm so confused. Nobody wants to watch the longer videos, but why wouldn't you? It makes so much more sense. I don't get it. I change my verbiage every freaking time.